Shares in Nvidia under pressure. The company says it will take a charge of more than $5 billion. That's after the Trump administration announced new controls on chip exports to China. It's just the latest move in this escalating trade war and battle for control of technology between the two superpowers. Let's bring in first Eric Jackson, founder and president of EMJ Capital, and also Gil Luria, head of technology and research at D.A. Davidson. Thanks very much indeed for joining us. Eric, can I start with you? Chips, certainly the big bone of contention in this struggle for control of tech.
Yeah, great to be with you, Andy. Absolutely. I mean, you can see that really the chips and these stocks are pawns in this broader battle between the U.S. and China. And it seems like all the trade war up till this point, the war against Canada and Mexico has all been really leading Donald Trump to this face-off with China itself. Like that's really what he wants to deal with. I think the good news for everybody, including chip investors, though, is that I think there was a sense before the election from China's side that Trump was someone that would probably be more open to doing a grand bargain type of deal with China than even President Biden. I agree with that. I think that's what he wants. You can see that he continues to kind of send signals out there that he wants a deal. So overnight, there was also some signs from China in kind of like a blue smoke out of the chimney way that they are also interested in doing a deal and would like to have more respect from the J.D. Vances of the world directed their way. So hopefully, we're going to get there over the next few weeks anyway.
Gil, you've been drilling into the numbers. So they say they're taking this $5.5 billion write-down. And I think one of we don't know, and you know that there's uncertainty here, but some of that might have been inventory that had been intended for China?
Yeah, so the 8K, the disclosure from Nvidia is quite cryptic. We're only really going to have a better sense for the restrictions once the US government publishes what those restrictions are. I would point out that this goes beyond tariffs. This isn't about tariffs. We've been talking about restricting the sales of chips to China for several years. We've had some restrictions, and what it looks like is that we are now increasing those restrictions. That has nothing to do with the negotiation over tariff levels. This has to do with us seeing China as a competitor in AI. It's a national security issue, and therefore we have these now stricter restrictions than we had before. It's not clear that this is part of the negotiation at all. In terms of the magnitude, the best case is that we're talking about a specific product at day 20 that used to be compliant with restriction is now not compliant with these restrictions. And then Nvidia can reformulate the product in a way that it can sell. In that case, we're talking about $5.5 billion of inventory. That translates to roughly $15 to $20 billion of revenue that Nvidia is going to lose out on. But in a bullish case, they'll be able to reformulate and then resume the sales to China and only lose a portion of that. Mm-hmm. The worst case here is that the administration would like Nvidia to stop selling to China and to Chinese companies at all. Wow. In which case we're talking a much bigger impact. Up to 20-30% of Nvidia's revenue comes from China or Chinese companies. We won't know until we see the actual regulation from the US government.
Eric, can you remind us, where does China have access to these high quality chips? I know they have various backdoors and they get them through gray markets and through other countries. But if they were to be cut off from Nvidia chips, would that be a damaging blow to their tech sector?
Well, we don't know is the honest answer, Andy, to all that in terms of just how effectively can China circumvent these rules, and what are those regulations? As Gil was saying, there's all kinds of stories you hear about chips being sent via Singapore and places like that end up their way into China. It appears that there has been some success in slowing things down, although DeepSeek showed in January that they were they're basically, China is able to work around those issues, and use either more, legacy chips with better software to kind of circumvent those problems. China's also racing to try to, grow its own internal Nvidia domestically to kind of, not be reliant at all on Nvidia. And there are some who think like, we're not even sure that restricting AI access to China, is sort of, the best way to go in terms of holding China back, because they have these other avenues that they're pursuing. So, it's a lot of unknowns. I mean, it's clearly important that the U.S. Domestically be able to develop, have access to its, these super high-end chips and get its own house in order. That's probably most important overall. And we're just going to have to see exactly what these restrictions are, or what deals might take off those restrictions in the weeks ahead.
And Gil, ASML, the big European supplier of semiconductor equipment, also warning about disruptions from the tariff war this time.
Yeah, so the supply chain for semiconductors is truly global. We have goods coming in from Europe, from other parts of Asia, into Taiwan, into China, then into the US, then through Mexico, then through Canada. And all these things are now in flux. There's going to be some level of tariffs in the US portion of that. We don't know if it's just the 10%, or in some cases it could still be higher. That part is still up for negotiation. Either way, we're going to have to reformulate the global supply chain, because we're not going to be able to trade with China as easily as we have in the past. So a lot of the production, this has to do with Apple as well. A lot of the production in China is going to have to move. It's going to have to move to India, to Vietnam, in some cases to Taiwan, in some cases into the US. So that makes it hard for each of the participants, because not only are they going to have to make changes in their business, they don't know what changes they need to make until we know what the new tariff regime that's going to be negotiated over the 90 days is.
Guys, I wish we had longer. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Our guests have been Eric Jackson, founder and president of EMJ Capital, and Gil Luria, head of technology and